I've been thinking really long and hard about what I'm going to do here in this situation. How I'm going to tell you about a personal matter that's affected me in my own life personally. And that is my experiences with using alcohol. Growing up in a family where it was accepted in tradition that you could drink in celebration or drink for period times for relaxation, when you weren't having to do any work or anything, drinking was, in a social setting, was considered normal. Being a shy person in my high school years and wanting to fit in with a crowd, go along with the group, and be accepted by my peers, there was times when alcohol was used. Usually it was purchased through nefarious means by waiting for somebody in front of a liquor store, waiting around the liquor store, and if somebody walked in, you could give them money, and then you would ask them to buy you alcohol, and they would come out with the alcohol. There was also another store that was ran in a different part of the town that we could go to, and they wouldn't ask us for any ID. So we buy beer and wine, mostly beer and wine at that point in my life. And this went on in high school. On the weekends, we get together, groups of us teens. There was usually someone that had a driver's license that was driving, and we could go on outings. We go to play. We play pool. There was a place where they had pool tables and pinball machines, and we go there and play at a bowling alley also. And then there's times we'd all get together and go to the beach or go to drive out into the country as teens, and then we could go and drink out on a park bench in somewhere where there weren't any adults around. Now, when I drank, usually beer or wine, it would make me silly, and sometimes I'd throw up, and then I'd go to bed early. And it was thought that I could drink once in a while and not have a problem. But once in a while there was a few times when I was drinking at a party that I got belligerent. I got rather incoherent and saying odd things and being antagonistic. So, and then I would leave, or somebody would make me leave. Or it was a time when I was punched in the face quite hard by somebody else while I was drinking in a motor vehicle as a passenger. The other time that I had gotten a lot to drink and really had a problem was then I went down to the beach and I had a bottle of port wine, and I drank the whole bottle while I was there at the beach, and managed to wander back to where my car was parked, and I drove the car in an area that was vacant. There weren't any homes or people around. It was near the airport. They tore down a lot of houses, and after they tore the houses down, there were streets and sidewalks left. So I got in my vehicle quite intoxicated, and I remember driving my car into the curb, ruining my car. So that was an incident in my life where I had drank a lot and lost control over my judgment and behavior. So early on, I didn't really recognize that I would have problems with alcohol. That it would be better for me to have never drank any alcohol at all in my life. That if I would have known that in my younger years, I would have saved myself a lot of agony, a lot of heartache, a lot of embarrassment, a lot of expenses, and loss of time, and doing something that's like foul to the community where I've lived. And so, in being a nuisance while I was intoxicated. So it didn't come to me until I was an adult, that I should never use any alcohol at all. I should keep alcohol, never drink it. If it was offered to me, or if I was forced into a situation where I had to be at a business function, and while I was there with the people I worked with, they were drinking alcohol, but it was considered that this was part of the business, and I needed to be there as part of this company that I work at. So it never occurred to me to just leave and walk away, or just to get something else and drink sodas, or drink something, a coffee or something else, and try to, as best as I can, to explain to the people that I'm with that I don't drink alcohol. I'm not in any way I can't drink alcohol at all. So you work with all these people, all these guys that all go out and drink and have drinking parties, and you're never invited and you're never there. So you're missing out on company things that are going on, company events that people are talking about things, or talking about you as another employee behind their backs, and you're not let in on important decisions that are going on in the company. You're not even let in on decisions that are being made about what you do, your own work, your own position there at the company. So all these people are there. Most of the people that you work with, they go to a sports bar and off hours, and they make all these plans, and they do all this deciding and talking about work there, and you're not involved with that. And here you are, as in your function and what you're doing on that job. So the problem is that there was an incident in my past where I became a habitual drinker. I would drink on Friday nights, and I was coming home from work, and after a long day of work, after 2.5 hours of driving in my car to get to my job and back, all week long I would open up a bottle of wine coming into my house where I lived, or I'd buy a 6-pack of beer, and I'd come home and I'd drink the whole 6-pack, and I would drink the whole bottle of wine. And over time, because of other stresses, loss of a family member, and someone I know getting killed while they were traveling to work on their motorcycle, and other people that I was friends with that knew me at my job and liked me as a person, they died. So it was like, and then there was an earthquake at my work while I was there, and it scared the shit out of me, and I quit. I gave them 2 weeks notice, and I quit, and I tried to start my own small business, doing photography, photo retouching, photo scanning, photo retouching, photo restoring, photo archiving, and then I was doing. I started a business, and I got a business license doing drafting, mechanical drafting, illustration, and then it was 9/11. It was like I got my business license in 8/11, and then there was 9/11. What's that? So. At that time, I was already going to AA meetings because I could never drink again. I had to come to that realization because my using alcohol was causing so many problems for me. It was making my life so difficult. It was like I was losing control over myself, over my decision making, and it was affecting me as a person. And then not only that, I was prescribed Prozac before that, and then I changed over to Paxil, and here I am drinking, and I'm taking Prozac and Paxil, and I'm trying to run my own business. And at that time I had saved up some money for my retirement, a 401k that I spent every last nickel and dime on my COBRA, which is a medical insurance extension, COBRA, and that took me through all my savings, and I was just making barely enough money. And I was working, doing little odd jobs for people at the AA meetings, doing their photos and scanning them and giving them a CD, and doing it for my family members, and borrowing money from family members so I could keep making my house payment. And I was searching everywhere for a job. I was sending resumes here. I was emailing people. I was cold calling. I was going to employment agencies. I was showing up at the work a day places early in the morning with ready to do any job. And I was doing that, and I was barely running my car on gas fumes just to get to the day labor places. And on top of that, I had my wife's family came and lived with us for a while, and that made it very, very, very stressful. And at the time, after I quit my job, and it was tough. I couldn't run my business after 9/11 successfully. I wasn't getting any customers, and the drafting and mechanical drawing service was falling apart. I wasn't getting anything on that, and so then I go and apply for food stamps. And so, I'm at the bottom. I'm at my wit's end, and I'm going to lose my house, and I don't want to lose my house because I spent so much time and effort in planning and dealing with a shitty commute and a shitty job for a while, and to deal with to keep my house. And I finally sold my house after I started in AA in 2001. So, and then during that time when I was barely scraping by, I was getting part-time contract work through employment agencies in another town. So I had to go and live in another city, stay at a hotel, stay at my brother's house. It was imposition, but I've learned a lot about myself, and I can honestly say that the worst thing that happened to me in my life entirely was that I abused alcohol. And if I would have changed my direction in life from when I was a youngster and realized I had a problem with alcohol and never to touch alcohol, I never would have gotten myself into all these terrible situations that I find myself in, that I've had to go through. And AA was like deprogramming, because AA, at least I was hearing all these other people's stories. They were telling me what happened to them when they were drunk. And it was like, yeah, that happened to me when I was drunk. So why am I going to risk just one beer, one glass of wine, or one shot glass of anything? Why would I throw everything away that I have today on that? What's that going to do for me? It's just going to it's just going to make my life harder for me.